Hey, good morning. Please, come on in. Here, have a seat. Well, let's see. It's been, a week since we last met? Great. So why don't we start with just a high-level question. What's present for you today? And you can answer that however you like. Feelings, thoughts, updates about what's been going on in your life. Oh, you're not feeling very good. I'm sorry to hear that. Do you want to talk about why? You've had some relationship issues. Oh, okay. I completely understand. Well, would it be helpful to sort of give me the backstory and describe what's been going on there? Or would you rather maybe talk about how that feeling feels for you? We can kind of work through processing that. Okay, great. Let's start with that feeling. It sounds like you're feeling some anxiety, maybe some sadness, maybe some tension. Where are those things? Like, where in your body do you feel them? They're in your chest, like a sort of heaviness in your chest. Makes it difficult to breathe. I understand. Anywhere else? Oh, they're in your head. Almost like a tension headache, like a kind of tight band around your head. I understand. I really do. I feel things in a very similar way when I'm holding a lot of sadness or anxiety in my body. So, to kind of process those feelings and let them move through your body, let's try the RAIN procedure. Do you remember what RAIN stands for? It's an acronym. We worked on this a few months ago. So RAIN, each of those stands for a different thing. Let's walk through those steps, and hopefully that'll help kind of let those feelings move through. Okay? Does that sound useful? Okay, great. So, R stands for recognize. So just recognize what's happening. Just kind of non-judgmentally say, here's this feeling. I'm feeling sad. This is what it is. This is what that feeling is. Or maybe not sad, but anxious or tense or whatever that feeling is for you. Just recognize it. Then A. A is the tricky one for me personally. A is allow. So we're just going to allow those feelings to happen. Just going to try not to fight it, try not to push against it, try not to do anything with it. Just let it happen. I've even heard people say that 90 seconds is kind of the longest you can really feel a feeling for, if you really just let it completely happen. I don't know if that's true, but it's something I've heard people say. So let's try that together. Just let the feeling in. Just open yourself to it. And anytime you're ready to move forward, just let me know. Okay, great. If you're ready to move on, then the I in RAIN stands for investigate. Now, for me, this is a part that's pretty easy to get a little out of control with, like I go a little crazy with this step. But investigate just means go into it, look at the pieces, see where it comes from, see what that feeling is anchored in, see where it lives inside you, see what it resembles in terms of your past experiences. See when you first started feeling this way. It can be almost anything. But I would just go into it and see where your curiosity leads you. And then whenever you're ready, the last step, N, and this is a really hard one for me, is nurture. Now, nurture means that you try to step outside of the situation and look at the whole thing, and then kind of try to hold the whole situation in your heart and regard it with love. Like if you could imagine just holding and almost like cradling the whole situation like a baby, including yourself. You're part of this, and you deserve love and compassion. You deserve to be held in that moment with love and compassion, regardless of who you are, or what you've done, or why this is happening. You can try to step outside of it and look at it with love. Okay, so having gone through those steps, do you want to share kind of what is present for you now. Like, where has that process left you? Not feeling very different? Hey, that's fine. I completely get it. And often, it's not a simple or quick fix. Sometimes for me, it doesn't do anything at all. And if that is what happened, that's completely fine, of course. What would be helpful? Do you want to tell me a little bit more about what's going on? Okay, great. So what happened? Oh, I see. You and your boyfriend broke up. Okay. Let me just first say that I'm really sorry to hear that. I know that those big changes are tough. And even if you know that it's better for you for that change to happen, even if you know that a relationship needs to change in some big way, that doesn't make it easier. So I'm really sorry to hear it, but I hope that the change ultimately is one that brings you more peace and comfort. Would you like to share how that happened or what sort of came about? Sure, I remember you saying in the past that you and your boyfriend had some compatibility issues. If I'm not mistaken, those were around sort of physical intimacy. Is that right? I see. And so that ultimately proved to be kind of a sticking point for you two, it sounds like. Yeah, no, I understand. I really do. So if it's not too soon to think about changes you might want to make, what sort of path forward are you imagining? You don't know. Well, I don't want to offer advice, of course. I mean, that's not my job. My job is just to listen and reflect back what I hear from you. But I will say that you have been struggling with that issue for a while. And I think that however you move forward in your life, you might want to really prioritize getting those needs met that haven't been getting met. What do I have in mind? Well, nothing in particular. I just think that, different people have different needs, and it's okay. It's actually really healthy and good for you to name and acknowledge that your needs are high in that respect, and that you're looking for someone who can meet them. That's a completely legitimate compatibility issue to think about. So, it's okay if this question doesn't have any answer. A lot of questions don't. But as you think about planning for the future, like, where does that leave you? You have some ideas? Well, that's great. If it's helpful to kind of work through them together, I'm happy to hear them out. I'm sorry, you look a little embarrassed. Of course, we can set that subject aside if you like. We don't need to get into it. No, you want to? Okay. Please, go ahead. What are you imagining? Of course, you can ask me any question you like. What's on your mind? Have I ever dealt with similar problems? Oh, you mean in my own personal life, in my intimate relationships? Well, generally speaking, I like to leave myself out of these sessions. It's really supposed to be more about you. But just as a reference point, I can tell you, yeah, I have definitely been in relationships where there's incompatibility of that sort. Which side? I was in your situation. I can tell you that. I was in a situation where I really wanted more connection and intimacy than the other person was interested in. And I say that with no judgment, of course. There is nothing wrong with wanting as much or as little of that as you want. I mean, just people are different, and so it's completely fine. But yes, when I was in your situation, it certainly created a lot of stress and I guess you could call it frustration. Does that make sense? What was that like for me? Again, I don't really want to make this about me. That would be helpful for you. Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess I could tell you that this is complex. Okay, this is a complex thought, and I'm kind of just for a moment. I'm just going to sort of step out of my role as your therapist, as your counselor, and just kind of share my own personal experience. Okay. When I was in that situation, which actually wasn't very long ago, the relationship didn't seem like it was really going to last, and so we made a mutual decision to end it. And now I'm single. I don't have a partner or any other kind of relationship of that sort. So I am trying to figure it out, just kind of one day at a time, like you. Does that make sense? Is it difficult? Sure. It's very difficult. Yeah. I don't have any easy answers. It's an appetite like any other appetite. And sometimes if your appetite isn't met, then you can become even more fixated on the thing you're not getting. This happens with food as well, right? If you don't get enough to eat, you can become kind of obsessed with food and you think about it all the time, and you might end up thinking about it in situations where it isn't super appropriate. So all of that is stuff that I am dealing with. I can tell you that as another person. And this is challenging for me because I really want to make you feel seen and heard as another person, one human being to another. It's really hard to not get your needs met, and I know that. But anyway, stepping back into my putting my therapist hat back on, right? Let's just zoom out a little bit here and ask what else is present for you today? Is there a different subject we can kind of delve into? No, there isn't. Okay, that's fine. Of course. Listen, I'm here for you, and I want to talk about whatever is helpful for you to talk about. So, what's that? Oh, you have more questions for me about my experience. Well, listen, as your therapist, I'd like to sort of try to point to an important professional boundary here, which is that it's not appropriate for me to talk too much about myself, especially about my own intimate situations. So, I'm sorry? You really think that would help you? Are you sure? Because I really want to help. I do this work because I love helping people. And if I'm just going to be honest here, I am finding that conversation a little bit, what's the word for it? It's bringing up a lot of feelings in me that might not be that helpful or maybe that appropriate for us to process here together. It might be a thing that I should take outside of this room and deal with on my own, but no, I hear you. I do. Yes, no, I do really want to be helpful for you. Okay, sure. Yes, I hear you. If it's going to be helpful, then I will answer more questions. So, my fantasies. All right. I do have fantasies, of course, like any other, healthy, active adult. For sure, that's part of my life. Is there something specific about that you're interested in? Do they involve my work? Or my clients? Okay, I see where this is going. And this might be surprising for you, but I want to just be straightforward and honest with you, okay? I see where you're going with this, and so I'm just going to put it on the table because I think sometimes that's the healthiest way to move forward in a conversation. Yes, I do fantasize about people that I work with, including my clients. Yes, you are one of my clients. Yes, I am attracted to you. I am. I've said it out loud. I find you very attractive. I find you charming and alluring and beautiful. I find you beautiful. Of course, I would never act on that. I would never act on that because I'm very committed to being a mental health care provider that can truly help you meet your needs. I'm sorry? No, I mean, that's not the kinds of needs that I meant. I'm here for your mental health needs and your other needs and wants. Your desires are things that you simply have to take elsewhere. And I'm sorry for that. I really wish that I could. I really, really wish that I could help you in that way, but I can't because that's not my job. And again, there are professional ethics that I have to be very careful to abide by, or else I could lose my license to practice. I could lose my job. I'm sorry, what if what? What if I knew that I was safe in that regard? You mean, what if I knew that I couldn't get in trouble, basically? Well, okay, just as a sort of thought experiment, if I knew, I still would have to be excruciatingly careful about making sure that I wasn't doing anything that would hurt my clients, instead that I was actually always helping them. And that's just very difficult to do. No, hang on. I'm not sure if I understand what you're asking me. I see how this conversation has sort of gone down a slippery slope. And I want to help us take a step back and return to a normal therapist-client relationship. I want to do that because, well, of course, you have a very good heart. That's beyond question. I know that about you. I know that you don't want anything bad for me or for yourself or for anyone. I know that about you. I just don't understand why you're so driven, why you're so interested in me, and why because you think it's good for me too. You think we could help each other. I don't know what to say to that. I really don't. Okay, I know what you want. I do. I also just have to say that I see the way you're looking at me. I see the way you are sitting and leaning towards me. And just in the interest of radical honesty, I will tell you that it does feel good. It really does. And it feels wrong because I know that this is not supposed to happen. But it does feel good too. And I don't know what to do. I will be very honest with you in that regard. I'm supposed to be a professional, and this is not a very professional moment for me, but all right, listen to me. Listen. If we do this, no one can ever know, because my career is on the line. So that's number one. Number two is that we have to stop our working relationship. We can't keep being, you can't be my client anymore. We're going to make a hard pivot, and we're not going to tell anyone. So I want you to think hard about whether you want that or not. Okay? Because I think our sessions have been good for you. But if you want this kind of benefit, then things have to change. And number three is that right now you're on the therapy couch. But if we're in your bed instead, I am going to be a very, very different person. Right now, you're very close to the edge. And if you just inch a little bit close to me, Or touch my arm one more time. Or let me feel your breath just a little bit more on my neck. If you do that, we're going to go careening off that edge. And there won't be any turning back. Do you really want that? Okay, come here.